No, whatever they want.
You consider stuff.
No, yeah.
We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on our agenda is the EMS department. Morning.
This is collected for the month of March. Sure. This is not really received from Mr. O'Hare.
Jonathan O'Hara, $329.
And this is Larry's. Do you have any questions for me?
So, thank you.
All right, we'll start off with the March numbers. So ambulance wise, 143 requests for help. Out of those, we had 49 paramedic emergencies, 8 paramedic non-emergency calls. BLS, basic life support emergencies, came out to 62, 7 non-emergencies. Refusals, 17, and the mileage was 1900. Collections for this month was 76,000, and our operational cost for the month was 101. Really, the operation costs were staying about the same, so no big issues there. Over to staffing, a major issue that we need to talk about and see what we can come up with. As you know, there's a national EMS shortage. Not only it's affecting Indiana and the rural communities bad. We're in a wage war to get paramedics. Bigger cities are pulling these guys out of the rural communities, and we're seeing it here in Stark County. How can we compete with LaPorte County paying 70,000 and our medics making 60? I know it's 10,000, but some people that's a lot of money to take the drive. Up in Valpo, again, an hour drive or 40 minutes. We're into this and we're not solving problems. Right now, as of today, I have 5 paramedics. I am staffing 1 truck. I have 2 paramedics, actually 1 will be leaving. So that's going to drop me. That's 5 total with him leaving. One of them are talking about leaving for a higher paying job, which what do we do? What are we going to do here? So EMTs, I currently have 13 full-time EMTs. Both positions require 22 people to fill the trucks with our schedule. So I looked at some options to bring to you to say, these are options that we can do. Some of them are not favorable, but we may have to consider that. And in those pages, you have number 1, a pay raise throughout the EMS system of $3 an hour to get them up to that and pay a point, which will cost the county right about $300,000. In that category, we will be able to recruit more. But however, I don't know if that's going to fix the problem. Because once we do our pay raise, what are the other counties going to do? It's just a war right now. Paramedics are not only being recruited to other ambulance services, they're now getting recruited to the hospital shortage, the nursing shortage. And as you know, we have 2 paramedics who have 1 year of college and they can be nurses to make more money. So the nursing shortage has now tapped into the EMS market to pull these guys too. In Stark County, we have no training institute. If a person in Stark County wants to take EMS training, they have to go elsewhere. Most of that time it will be Valpo, South Bend, sometimes Pulaski, and sometimes Plymouth. But for us, they have to drive away. When you go to other communities to take your paramedic or your EMT program, the private companies are there to recruit you right away. It's that bad of a market now. So we lack that. We lack the pay. Our EMTs make $13.71 an hour. Our paramedics start off at 18. Average going for an EMT 15 to 16, and paramedic anywhere from 22 to 25, depending on the area. So just some numbers for you to look at what I'm talking about. So going back to the plan. First step, consider a pay raise. Second step, to hire emergency medical drivers. This will be a quick fix that we'll probably need to do. What this will allow us to do is fill in our scheduling gaps with an emergency medical responder who is trained like EMTs. However, they cannot place an advanced airway in. They cannot use a traction splint or a Kendrick's extrication device unit. The traction and the KID unit, we don't use anymore. That's some old stuff. We don't do that. But they're able to assist the EMT. As a medical driver, they cannot work with the paramedic. We have to get a waiver for that, which the state of Indiana is giving the waivers. The state of Indiana knows the EMS shortage. And this is the sad part. The federal government knows it. The state of Indiana knows it. And they've turned it around to make it the ambulance provider's problem. They're not going to change that. And the predictions of what's happening continue to look grim. So the emergency medical driver. Great to fill in, temporary. One thing nice about these guys, they work for fire departments, volunteer. We can cross-train these guys into the EMT program and hopefully homegrown our own EMTs. The second phase that we have to look at is pulling our paramedics off the truck. We only have 5 paramedics, and out of that, 4 full-time, 1 part-time. We pull the paramedics off the truck and put them in a chase vehicle. This will allow the paramedic to be free for any advanced life support call. So instead of being stuck on an ambulance, taking all the calls, they'll be able to break free and go where they need it. And the another option is becoming a training facility, teaching EMT classes here in Stark County. I think we're going to have to expand that pool of trained people right here in Stark County and try to, we can't stop them from leaving, but trying to keep them in our system. And then the final step, if we had to, is dropping down to basic life support unit, which is a EMT, and I prefer 2 EMTs on the truck, but EMT and driver. And we did that a couple of years ago, many years ago. That was the norm for Stark County. We're not the only ones in this problem. Newton County is facing it. A lot of your southern Indiana counties are facing it. And talking to other directors, no one has a solution to this. They're doing the same thing that we're trying to do, is recruit people in. But to be honest with you, when they hear those numbers, they go running. We don't get return phone calls. We don't get anything, especially on the paramedic level. What I would like to do, I know I'm going to ask for 300,000. I know I have to talk to the council about that, but they may say you have to wait. then it is. Right now, I think our first phase is to put the medical drivers, create the position for the medical drivers, put them on the truck with the EMTs, and from there, get our staffing back up to where it needs to be, do more recruiting as we are, and then go to the next step, and that would be doing the paramedic chase car. Hopefully, when we go to the paramedic chase car, we'll be able to bring more paramedics into the system. When you look at those numbers, Indiana, 2,000 paramedics short, 1,000 EMT short. Where are we going to go? We're all fighting against each other. Suggestions?
Don't we have a paramedic chase car now or no?
We have a not. Yes and no. Right now, our medic 3, because of staffing shortages, is running the paramedic on board. So that would be considered our chase car. But they are on an ambulance and they take all the calls,
Right.
which, to be
I mean,
honest,
we have the vehicle, is what I'm asking.
yes, we have.
So we want to have to buy a vehicle.
No vehicle needed. And let me pause here for a minute. I cannot create the chase car right away until I get my basic life support staff up to par. Because once I take that paramedic off that truck, that is roughly 4 shifts I have to fill.
Okay.
When I looked at that a month ago, that was about 300 hours of overtime. And we're paying overtime now. We're so much in overtime. I have 1 EMT on workman's comp, which really hit the system hard. And then our paramedical leaving, we're already shorthanded. So we've been trying to solve the problem. My thought is we would go add the medical driver in August, do an EMT class. Hopefully, EMTs are somewhat easier to hire. Hire some more EMTs, get our BLS staff up to par where we need to be with our drivers and EMTs. From there, when I get the staff to drop the overtime, stick my medics onto that chase car. And that may occur in June if everything went right. I don't want that 300 hours of extra overtime being created. But that would be the goal, is that paramedic chase car.
How many EMTs are you recruiting out of the program with skills centers running?
0. And nothing against them. These are young kids. They come and ride with us, but when we ask them, what are you going to do when you get done? They want to either move out of Stark County or go to nursing. So there's and one thing nice about the skills program is you get college credit hours for it. So these EMT students get 7 credit hours to give to anyone or any program they wish. So young kids, the world in front of them. They have a lot of opportunities there. Now, in the college program, the Ivy Tech College program, we recruited 2 out of that program just recently. But those are adult learners that we've got, not the young people. So 2 different phases there. Worries. Are we worried about patient care? I'm always worried about patient care. Right now, to be honest with you, we have 1 paramedic in town. That paramedic is on Medic 3. Our basic EMTs are doing the job in North Jetson and Grovertown. If they need a paramedic, they call for it, and that paramedic intercepts them or meets with them, jumps on board with them, and then we staff a second truck. The driver with the paramedic stays in his truck. The patient caregiver goes up to the driver's seat, and that EMT who drove goes over to the paramedic truck. I did that right. So We're doing that now. The only difference we're gonna do is that medical driver will stay in his seat. The guy giving the patient care will switch with the paramedic and go to the paramedic truck, and they can be in contact via cell phone if they have questions.
See, I'm messing around.
Yeah, it is. It is. Now, to be honest with you, how many times do we intercept with the paramedic? Once every 2 months. Not many times that we'll intercept. And I say that, and tomorrow's gonna be running. Yeah, every time I say something, it changes.
So the medical transport driver, that's what you're kind of looking to start that right off the bat.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. We have trucks shutting down because no people. I don't know what to do. I can't be everywhere. I don't mind working the truck. I work the weekend. I don't mind it. But still with me on the truck, there's still holes to fill. I wish I had better answers for you. I wish.
And that's not really creating, I mean, it is a new position, you're not adding another driver. per
No,
truck.
we're not asking for funding. The funding's there. The only funding we would ask is if we gave them the pay raise. That would be additional 300,000 we can ask for. The staffing for the medical driver will come out of the EMT pay unless Rachel needs a line item for that, that we can move money around for that. But it will come out of the line item for EMT pay. So we don't need to ask the county council for money. The only thing is we're creating a position, but need no funds. These guys will go through a training. We're just not gonna put them on the truck. They'll have to go through a training. We have to make sure they know the equipment. They are competent in all the equipment we use. They are competent in driving the ambulance, which they drive fire trucks. They should be good, but yet we're not gonna take that for advantage.
Do you wanting to just ask for this position now, or you wanting both position and the wage?
I'm literally, to be honest, I don't think we're gonna get 300,000.
Yeah,
So-
so that would double the loss.
I know.
We
I know.
had just this
So-
one.
I asked for it. I'll go to the council and ask to just cover my bases, but we need the driver. You guys said no, they're gonna say no. I know.
We
I
might
am just covering my areas.
go forward with the position. And that way we can keep that rolling, but
And like I said,
we can table the raise or whatever.
the EMS Training Institute, let me go back to that real fast. That will cost the county nothing. We have the instructors. We have the equipment, the mannequins. We can do it. I can open up, actually, I'm gonna go back to my office and start planning an EMT class with Valparaiso. We can get it up and running 30 days, the application period requires. However, we're in summer, so we're gonna have to do it August because of summer. I'd like to do it sooner. I might try it. EMT class and get it going. The drivers are temporary until we can get our staff back up with EMTs and our paramedics. Now, paramedics, we cannot teach in the county. They need a college-based training program. It costs about 80,000 to get that certification. We'll lose money on it. It's a nice thing, but we won't regain on that one. That one we're gonna have to pan out, but there are grants available for the training for the student to take through Ivy Tech.
That'd be nice if you can have the classes here because,
Yeah,
like you said, it would hopefully pull folks in.
when I was at Pulaski, we done EMT classes every year. We pulled from those EMT classes. We picked the cream of the crop. When I'm working Saturday, I was on the truck, met a very nice student, very knowledgeable. I was trying to recruit him. Hopefully he joins us. But they get to know the people. They know what we do. And for our drivers, this is a chance for them to say, like the internship program. No, I'm not interested. This is not for me. So then we get another driver. I hate calling them drivers, but we get another medical driver technician to fit in. Again, if anybody has suggestions, please. I'm looking all over the place.
It's, on the driver, you made a motion, right?
Mhm.
Second on that.
Second.
All those in favor?
Right.
Richard, you need anything? All right, the job description's in your packet. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Got it right.
well, that's what we just.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Any questions, feel free. Thank you.
Thanks.
What was this?
Thank you. Oh, this company wants to do our cost report to Medicaid. In 2 years, once we finish this report, we can earn right about 20,000, but no guarantee on it. So this company says if we sign a 3-year contract with them for 3 years at $9,500, they will do the paperwork for them or for this program. It's through Indiana Medicaid. Medicaid looks at our cost and our revenue and determines do we qualify for this reimbursement. I can do this. I have the numbers.
Okay.
So I wasn't even going to bring it up because we entertained him and talked with him. But after what he said, I have the numbers. I just need to, that's my next project, to sit down and get that done and get it
I'm
done.
gonna say, we used to do that ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, and we can't, and like you said, they cannot guarantee we're gonna get anything. We might get 20,000, we might get nothing, but it's gonna be 2 years to get it. But we'll do the paperwork. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Roll up, David.
Did you read it to you, Marno?
As always.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Nice chilly start to the day. Minus it's April. Currently, we have 2 openings at the highway department. We had one quit and went to a different trucking company, and the other one quit as well. We're gonna start advertising for the mowing crew in the next couple of weeks. We have applications at the shop now, so we're gonna be lining up some interviews for the 2 open positions that we have. As far as the community crossings go, Reith Riley was awarded the bid. They're scheduling for the end of May to do 600 east from the Robbins to the Highway 30. And we found out last week that we did receive the full $1 million for community crossing 2023. So we're advertising that right now, and on May 15th, we'll open up those bids and we'll get that project underway. As far as equipment goes, we have our paver over in Fort Wayne at Southeastern. They're putting new guides along the bottom of the paver. We have our chip box at the shop. We're putting new hydraulic hoses on it. So we're getting ready for the paving season, getting things going. We rented 2 hot boxes last week, so we have a total of 4 hot boxes out patching the roads. So we have that for 2 weeks, so to the end of April. We're going to be sending out 4 crews to patch. I've lined up a crack sealer for 2 weeks, starting May 1st. We'll go out and crack seal. That's one of the cheapest forms to help preserve the road. So we're gonna do that for 2 weeks in May. And then we'll look again in the end of August. And maybe rent it again in August when we get done with the road work. We're currently getting some quotes for the salt shed. Our roof is bad and it's been bad for a while. So we're working on getting some quotes for that. Bridge number 7 has begun construction on 1200 East, south of Highway 8. We've chopped the brush around all the bridges this year. So the next step is we're gonna go in with a broom and sweep all the bridges, and then we'll follow that up with a fire truck and wash the bridges off. And of course, we'll weed eat around them. We have 2 bridges on that need a little bit of attention, so I'm getting a quote to replace the tie rods on bridge 63 and 68. We're continuously out on the gravel roads grading them. Like I mentioned on the road maintenance, we do have 4 crews out patching. I've discussed a local road safety plan in the past. We're putting that on hold, and we're going to go through the Kankakee Iroquois Regional Planning Commission to get funding. They're going to apply for, is there 7 counties in that? So he's going to apply for all the counties. So it'll be one big grant. So it'll be an 80-20 grant. So we'll have to pay 20% of whatever the price will be. So that's going to set us back 2 years. Is the only thing that's going to happen there. We're just going to be 2 years to get it started. Last week, Guy Salisbury was at the shop and he ground up 7,500 tons of asphalt. So we're going to lay those grindings this summer. Hopefully, we're going to get that done in the first 2 weeks in June and get that mountain removed. There's been some talk about broadband coming into the county.
Mhm.
Are we going to charge them
Or
a permit?
it depends on what their proposal for coming in, doing the install, what they're gonna cover. That would be a point of negotiation for attracting companies in, I would think.
Okay, I think that's something we probably should talk about. Is I was talking with Bose about that, and we should probably have a meeting and discuss what we're going to do
Mhm.
as far as the broadband goes, because when they come in, they're going to come in and
Yeah,
You know, if they're gonna cover large area or area.
Yeah.
But, you know, we've done it before, you know, adjusted permit, you know, fees for scope of work or whatever.
our permits, fees for our permits was last done 2017. I think we probably need to look at that again and adjust fees for permits throughout the county. We had an IH meeting, Northwest IH meeting here in Knox last Thursday, and that was one of the subjects we talked about was permitting fees and what every county's charging, and I kind of feel we're probably on the low end. But they had talked about some of the issues they had when broadband came into the counties, how some of these contractors were just drilling through everything, culverts and
I don't
tiles.
see, you know, culverts and all that would be that.
So,
That's the issue.
okay, as far as training, last month we were kind of active, running around, looking at different things. On April 3rd, we sent 5 people out to Oregon, Illinois, that Ed and I are for distribution truck training and chip box training. On March 30th, we were invited to Fulton County to discuss road construction. It was kind of a show and tell. They were out grinding roads and there was, 3 other counties were present, so. That was a pretty informative meeting. And on April 6th, we had 4 employees attend a training session with asphalt materials on different paving processes. So that was interesting. There's options there that we can look at, but we have to do some more research on that. So the Mammoth Solar Project, they have received panels and they've started putting panels up on 650 North. They're continuing to plant trees. Next Era has been contacting us about getting more driveway permits, and on 550 South, they want to go above ground from Highway 421 to the county line. Above ground. That's only 2 miles. So we're discussing that with them currently. And Hoosier Solar was in the office last week wanting to run some lines above ground in our right of way. That was the first time we really looked at the map with them. So we're gonna get back and discuss that with them. But they're pretty sure they have a project ready to go to start with. So sounds like they're gonna have 3 projects based upon 200 watts, is Larry here?
Yeah, megawatts,
200 megawatts at a time.
two projects for sure, possible third one. Just, and it would be probably half that size if that would come about. It would all be based on the land that they've acquired at this point. They wouldn't be having to acquire very much more land than what they already have. I could say one other thing, they are looking to submit the plan in July at this time, July 1st or so.
So United is here today to discuss what they found on the bridge inventory, so. John, you want to come up? Sure.
Got some binders for you guys. Feel free to go on back to mail. Welcome to the council. Yeah. I'll keep this short. Good morning, John Giorgio with United Consulting. Our firm's under contract with Stark County to provide inspection services for county bridge inventory. The contract covers a 2-year period, which began in October of 2022. The bridge inspections are required by Federal Highway Administration for every bridge owned by the county, not owned by NDOT on an NDOT count, with a span length greater than 20 feet. And these inspections keep the county in compliance with federal standards. Stark County is in full compliance with the bridge inspection standards, and as such, they get reimbursed for 80% of the contract costs on this. This morning, I'm presenting the bridge inventory based on our findings from the report for the bridges that were inspected in October of 2022. The report contains several summary reports that are useful for the county in understanding the condition of the bridges, as well as a updated bridge asset management plan. In addition to the summary reports, each of the 57 bridges in Stark County contains its own inspection report, which has detailed information about the findings for each bridge. The flash drive attached is just a digital copy of the report that you can use instead of looking through the book. That has an interactive map, allows you to click on a bridge and bring up the individual inspection report. And then to help navigate the way through the report, each of you has that flyer there that lists the location of the key reports you may be interested in. which includes where you can find a listing of maintenance needs for your bridges, summary of bridges that are posted with the load limit, as well as recommendations we've made for the bridges that should be planned for replacement or rehabilitation in the near future. On the backside of that summary sheet, you'll find statistics on how Stark County compares to the rest of the state. The average age of the bridges in Stark County is approximately 30 years old, compared to a statewide average of 45 years old. Stark County currently has 12 bridges that are over 50 years old. Depending on traffic and structure type, the anticipated life of bridge is usually 50 to 100 years. Many of the county's oldest bridges were built around the same time, and they're all kind of approaching their end of life in the next 20 years or so. The priority schedules in the report shows a estimate of bridges we recommend replacing or rehabilitating in the near future, along with an estimate of costs. We work with the highway department to prioritize your bridges by structural condition, load capacity, and traffic. Out of the 5 bridges currently recommended for replacement, 3 of them are currently under design or construction, with federal funding aid secured for some construction costs, including Stark Center. Breaking stuff. Apologies. Oops. All right. There we go. We recommend the county continue to prioritize funding of additional maintenance in the repairs in the coming years to get the most life out of those existing older bridges and keep the recommended bridge replacement list to a minimum. Stark County has done a great job over the past few years replacing their oldest bridges and should continue to maintain funding to do so. Also, Stark County only has 3 bridges that have a load posting restriction, which is only 5% of bridge inventory compared to 14% postings on most of the other bridges. This is a testament to ongoing timely bridge maintenance and replacement by highway department. It's been a pleasure working with you guys over the past year. Our goal is to be an extension of your highway department and keep your bridges in good condition for traveling public. I'd like to thank the commissioners for giving us this opportunity, and this time I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
I really don't have it.
I know this is pretty comprehensive and addresses everything that would come to mind anyway. Yeah.
So the top 5 bridges that need replacing, like he said, 3 of them are in the works right now. Bridge 13 was submitted this spring and got rejected. And so Bridge 23 is the only bridge that we haven't done anything with, and that's a wooden bridge that has a cracked beam on it that's exposed. Otherwise, the bridge is in great shape. That's why it's on the list. Because it has a crack in the wood beam. That is one of the posted bridges as well.
Even though older wooden bridge, so.
Where was that located at?
That's on 500 north and 800 east. Just down from Mike Hayes' shop.
That's something that could be repaired, or would you have to do the whole bridge?
That could be repaired, but because it is a wooden structure, eventually it will start to deteriorate. So that's why it's kind of at the bottom of the priority list there.
Okay.
It's not a great concern at this point.
Correct.
But by the rules, we have to list because it has a crack in it,
Okay.
exposed.
No, I don't have anything else.
Okay.
Appreciate all the information.
Yeah.
Wouldn't glance at it.
Sorry, overall. Feel free to just throw it at the counselors.
Is that presentation also on here?
It is not, but I can get you a copy of it. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. How are y'all today? Kristen, you've seen that 100 times. I'm sorry I didn't bring you a copy. My name is James Young. I'm part of the North Judson Town Council, and I'm here today to discuss with you our park project that we're currently working on. Several years ago, as you guys well know, we were working together with Constellation of Stark with the Stellar projects. We completed a comprehensive plan in 2020 and identified 3 distinct areas that we really wanted to focus on in North Judson for economic development. One of those was housing. One of them is downtown development, and one of them is parks. Currently, we've been working on all of those. We just completed some housing development right next to this park project. They're market rate duplexes that are already been rented out. We've got some more market rate housing being developed. We're working on downtown projects. And this last year, we began looking at our town park. The town park hasn't been touched since 1972. So for over 50 years, there hasn't been any major developments. A couple years ago, we had Ball State University come with their immersive learning program. And they really talked about how parks is really an economic development, thing that you need in order to attract people, attract businesses, attract families. And so we began working with the Troyer Group and looking at this town park and identifying some projects. And so one of the main things we want to start with is what we're calling phase 1. Phase 1 includes a new walking trail that would go in the town park. It includes 2 new pickleball courts, new pavilion, a new sand volleyball court, and then the new playground equipment, which is in that packet that you guys are seeing. It's a mixed use playground. It's ADA compliant, so handicapped kids will be able to use it. It has natural features. So some of those are like a natural tree house, rope climbing, rock walls, things like that. And then some of it is the newer playground equipment that you'd see that kids can use. It features a zip line. It features some different topography elements, so different hills and things like that they can climb. So today, I've come here today because our redevelopment commission has said they would commit $500,000 to the project. We are working on a DNR grant. It's a matching grant of $500,000. We're supposed to hear from that any day now. It's looking very positive. Originally, we were thinking this was going to end up being $1 million project, but this phase 1 with the cost of inflation and things has ended about 1.2 million. So we wanted to come to the commissioners today to ask you guys if you guys would be, consider this a project that you would like to, partner with us with. We're looking for $200,000 from the Economic Development Fund. I know that paper says ARPA funds, but from my understanding, that's for more county projects. So economic development, we feel like would be an appropriate fund for this project.
Well, this kind of project is definitely needed for that area.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
This and the proposed project in St. Pierre and Bass Lake, and
Yeah.
we even got a request from Oregon Township.
Yeah.
And so it's a matter of which is how to balance all the requests. I mean, because they're all important, they all need support.
Yeah.
Well, at this stage with this project, we're shovel ready summer and ready to go. And, again, with your partnership, I understand, the position you're in of balancing what, the importance of the projects around the county. But, in our seat and in your seat, I understand it as well. We really felt like this could be a once in a lifetime opportunity, considering maybe it's a 50-year span before it gets looked at again.
Something we put on the list and look at later, but we gotta do our priorities first.
I mean, yeah, and I know Judson wants to get moving on this. So I don't want to delay, I wouldn't want to delay this in too long.
Right.
I find myself just wishing we could do it all, but we can't.
We understand that.
The resources are more limited, the resources are always more limited than the wants. But yeah, this is important. It needs some sort of support. Yes.
This would be a better candidate for CDIT rather than our.
And from my understanding, there received the funds available for this project.
You have a balance of about 2.9 million.
So you'd be looking for like 200,000.
200,000. We have the $500,000 ready to go from redevelopment commission. That grants a $500,000 match. So that's the $1 million. Again, like I said, this project was initially supposed to be $1 million project. And it came back 1.2 million to do all the sidewalks, to do the playground equipment. So that's why we feel like, hey, to see if we can get the county to help us make this happen. The engineering's done. It's ready for bid. The project's ready to go.
Thanks. I mean, there's a lot of kids that enjoy this.
Yeah. I mean, it's in walking distance of the school. We're working right now, one of our sidewalk projects will connect our town park to the school within the next few years.
I mean, there's obviously plans to redo all. most
Yeah,
of it.
so phase 2 will include redoing the baseball fields, and then on the other side, there's a hidden baseball diamond, and so we'd be looking at that area as well.
Yes, I know this year my family, we kind of redid the infield on the one field.
Yeah.
For the kids, but. And there's a couple other parents.
We feel like too, the pickleball is becoming a very popular thing. It could be a revenue generator in the sense we might be able to start some leagues. Sand volleyball, again, one of those things that's pretty important. I'm pretty sure your turn to play volleyball a little bit every now and again. So, one of those things, again, we're looking at things that can help us out revenue wise as well to continue maintaining this and having improvements. So.
What do you want to do?
So how soon then do we need to have a decision or yes or no or?
Well, obviously, the sooner the better. Again, it'd be nice, as soon as possible, because that gives us the availability to, if DNR calls us today and says, we're ready to go. We're ready to go. I mean,
Do you have
we're ready to
an
pull the trigger.
expected timeline when you get that word back from DNR?
It's supposed to be it could be today, it could be in the next few weeks, should be any time. They told us it could have been any time 2 weeks ago when we had our last council meeting.
I was just wondering if we could wait till our next meeting and figure this out.
Okay.
You can, but he is one of the council, right?
Yeah.
So if you guys don't make a
That's-
decision. he's
Yeah,
gonna
it's
push
not
it.
gonna bother.
If you guys approve it,
Yeah,
you put all
because-
the pressure on them, and then I got to play
I mean,
them.
yeah.
Well, no, I mean, well, either way,
It's
I mean,
gonna be-
we
it's
if
gonna
we
be-
approve it, then we've got, we've got to ask the council to make that appropriation.
Yeah, so it's gonna be kind of up to them, really.
Yeah.
I feel it's, good use of them funds. Obviously, it's gonna attract. Maybe families to come in and stuff,
Mhm.
we start improving that stuff.
That's what we felt like. We felt like parks are an attraction, and when you have really nice parks, it does attract families. And we've been putting money into Norwing Field, that's been a big attraction with splash pad and things like that. And so we feel like this would go hand in hand with some projects we've already done and accomplished.
I'll make the motion, we approve the request for $200,000 of seeded funds from the town of North Judson and request that the council make that appropriation. Second. I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much for your time this morning. It's greatly appreciated, and families are going to be very happy. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to leave that there for the council members.
James, you bring 7 of those tonight plus one for me.
Yes, I will. Thanks. Yeah.
Come on up, Cindy.
Good morning.
Morning.
I have a letter here from First National Bank of Monterey. And a couple of pictures that you guys can look at. This is I'm here to ask for $10,000 from ARPA for the food pantry. This was what the food pantry looked like in December of 2021. Back around this time, in April of 2022, we have Jim here with our food pantry manager. I told him all the articles I've been reading, everything that I see with COVID and the change in the economy and everything. I think by September or October, we're gonna be having issues with the food pantry and we need to come up with a plan now. That was around the end of April of 2022. This is what the food pantry looked like in June of 2022. It didn't wait till September or October. We had bare shelves. We put our plan into action. We did the Pastors Alliance. We put things out on the Facebook. We did a media blitz. We contacted the hospital, different places. And I love this community. The community has come together. And honestly, the community is what has been keeping the food pantry going. Since July of 2022, we have been operating at a 2,000 to 3,000 pound per month deficit. This is a much needed service for the people of Stark County. The pantry that was in North Judson. Our pantry serves the whole county. But there was a pantry in North Judson, which helped that area, which kind of took a little bit off of us. They've closed, so that puts the need back onto us again. As you know, the northern part of the county has a food desert. So the need is great all the way around. What we have found recently is we've been getting an increase in families, and it's families that have fallen through the crack. It's what we call the working poor. They don't necessarily qualify for food stamps or help. They're working and they're trying to make ends meet, but with the economy the way it is, the prices that they are, they're not making it. So they're having to make choices. Do I pay NIPSCO or do I buy food? Well, by the time they pay NIPSCO, there's no money left for food. So they come to us for help. I can say myself, a couple weeks ago, I went to, and I'm not gonna say names, but I went to the local grocery store. But I'm gonna buy a chicken, I'll put it in a crock pot, and then when I get home, it'll be ready for dinner. Picked it up and put it right back down. It was $15 for a chicken. No way. I just can't do that. I'm sorry. It just shows how you have families that are on fixed income, or you have elderly people who are retired and on fixed income or whatever. It's difficult for people to make it. And they're coming to us more and more for food and for help. Back when you saw that these shelves were full, we were getting an average of 4 to 6 pallets every month from the food bank. We now get maybe 2 pallets every 2 months from the food bank. We have been trying to find different resources. We've been reaching out for other resources in that. The community has come together and helped us tremendously. We put out about a month ago, we totally ran out of cereal. I put it on Facebook, and the middle school came through and donated, what was it, 400 pounds of cereal? So I can't say enough about how great the community has been.
Yes, the food bank for extra, they can't give you no extra.
The food bank doesn't have extra. That's
Okay.
the problem. We used to be able to go up to the food bank and they had several rooms. There's like a main room and then several side rooms, okay? You put in your order and you go in and you get what you, and then you could go around the side rooms and get other stuff for free as well to add to the order, okay? They have closed all those side rooms. They have just the middle room now, and they don't have all the extras, and they're lucky to fill the orders that we have. Like I said, we've gone from 4 to 6 pallets every month to maybe 2 pallets every 2 months. In order to keep things moving, we have to purchase a lot of food from either from the food bank or from other places to not run out of food. And we can get discounts through the food pantry or the food bank and that. But even with the discounts, the prices have gone up so much, it still costs a lot more. I'm sorry, did you have a question?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We have reached out to other, like Milford and Rensselaer and whatever. We're doing the best that we can to keep things moving. Last week, we placed an order for $853.46. And that got us 1,112 pounds of basics like soup, noodles, pancake mix, things like that. So you can see we are getting it at a lower price, but it's still costing quite a bit of money. School is about to let out for the summer, which means kids are going to have to eat more at home. They're not going to be eating at school. That's going to put more burden on the families themselves. And I'm just going to give you a few quick statistics here. Back in December, during the holidays, numbers always go up both ways. We get more donations during the holidays, but we also have more need during the holidays. And we received 2,029 pounds of food in December, but we distributed 6,038 pounds that month. So roughly a 4,000 pound deficit. And we served 84 households, 260 people. In February, it's the worst month we've had since I've been here. And we only received 450 pounds of food that month and distributed 3,626 pounds of food.
So how many households?
Back in February was 84 households. I'm sorry, December was 139 households. February was 84 households. In March, we received 1,299 pounds and distributed 4,258 pounds to 98 households. Last Thursday and last Friday, last Thursday, we served 16 families, 39 people in one day. Last Friday, 11 families, 29 people in one day, which was a total of 68 people in 2 days. When I did my year-end statistics and did a comparison, in 2021, we averaged 28 families per month. In 2022, we were averaging 98 families per month. And just in January and February of this year, we're already averaging 52 families per month. So as you can see, the numbers keep going up. And we have to do what we have to do to keep the food there, to keep serving the people. So this is where we're at, and this is why we're asking for those funds.
I'll make a motion, we do the fund, but in there it's for the food, it's not to run the
No, it's strictly for the food pantry.
fund.
Mhm.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sherry.
I'm Sherry Bartoli. I'm California Township trustee, and I'm coming here today to kind of put in a simple request. I feel like on behalf of the Bass Lake Fire Department that we would like to do more for in the community. And we would like to have during Fire Prevention Week or during the month of October, we want to do a community handout where we would hand out smoke alarms, carbon monoxide detectors, as well as probably packages of batteries for. Is that one?
No, it's just a panel alarm. It's not an actual fire alarm, or else that light would be light. Ricky.
That's kind of like perfect timing almost.
I thought you had it in your hand.
No, I did not.
It's like, oh, we're getting a show.
Let's wait.
Probably doing the same thing I'm doing. Hey, this is Mark over in the annex. We've got some sort of alarm going off as we're here. Oh, no. Okay. It just set up, so I guess you can take your time now. Yeah, I don't know. Rachel did something. All right. Bye. All right.
Okay, so sorry for the minor interruption, but to continue, I have done some investigating. I've contacted the 3 different stores, Menards, Home Depot, and Lowe's. Got prices of which are listed on the letter, as well as they're in the packet as far as a description of them and their whatever. I think Home Depot seems to be the better deal. If you order a quantity, you get a discount on them. I have figured that I'd like to purchase 300 smoke alarms, 100 smoke or carbon monoxide detectors, and at least 50 packages of batteries that we could hand out to residents of the county. We would advertise it on Bass Lake Fire Department's Facebook page, as well as probably put something in the newspaper that this would be a handout for people who don't have those in their homes currently. I think it would be a benefit. It would help as far as fires and hopefully not cause any deaths. And I did figure out kind of a cost according to those figures, that if I did go with Home Depot, and this is not considering the discount, it would be about $4,400. And that's barring that the cost has not gone up since I did this.
What was your number?
It was $4,427 for the 300 smoke alarms, the 100 carbon monoxide detectors, and then I wanted to get 50 packages, which is a 2-pack of batteries, 9-volt batteries. So I suppose I could ask for 5,000 just to give me a little leeway.
I was thinking just rounding up to 4,500.
That's fine.
There is some volatility in pricing, but I think it's not an outlandish request. It's something that is beneficial to that community. I don't have any problems supporting.
I'm fine with it. It's a good.
Well, again, though, I'd like to start making lists of this stuff, because I mean, we got how many fire departments
I know.
in our county? I think we need to make a list and prioritize some of this stuff. I got nothing against it. It's a good idea.
So you want to take
But I
some time and
Yeah,
go
I
through a
think we
list?
should,
Okay.
maybe a couple meetings or something,
When did
or
you,
even
when were
3
you
meetings, that gives
planning
time.
to do this event?
Probably during Fire Prevention Week, which I think is maybe the 2nd week of October.
Okay.
Or I could do it anytime during the month of October, because that is Fire Prevention Month. And I know they do stuff in the schools. So I kind of want to tie it in with that.
So, yeah, we'll have time to put maybe together and get
Did you
this.
do that right? Keep us a list. Thank you.
Okay, so it's tabled till what,
3 meetings anyhow.
Yeah.
June? Okay, I'll be back.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank
Yep,
you.
thanks.
Is there a motion to approve the vendor claims in the amount of $138,721.40?
So. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from Monday, Wednesday? Or
Monday.
minutes, sorry. Minutes. Wednesday, April 5th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Yes, it is. All day long.
Then we have the Annex 1 roof. Whoa. This was the one we were looking at last time. And they added the powers to it. To repair the seam lines.
Nice garden and stuff. Breaks nice.
Mhm.
Yep.
What do you guys think?
We should go with it, get it moving.
Mhm.
Want to make the motion?
Sure.
Okay.
Motion,
Second. Second.
Well, thank you.
Where's it being paid from?
Oh,
Until,
If you go with Q cap, no further approval needed. If you go with ARPA, the council will have to approve it as well.
I think we've got.
oh, yeah, so we can get it going.
yeah, Q.
Yeah.
You have plenty of balance. in
Yeah,
there.
we've got plenty of.
More
Well,
sense for this building.
Yeah.
we haven't got dipped too much into the appropriation anyway.
All right.
I think we're good.
That way they can get moving on.
Okay.
A motion and a second, Q cap for the repair of the roof. All in favor?
Aye.
Anything else for us, Don?
I don't.
Mark?
Nope.
Justin?
I don't think so. Do I answer your question about the?
Rachel? Does anyone else have anything for us? Yes, sir.
Just a question on parks from Lord Chilson. What funds did you say that those would come out of if the council approves that?
Seated.
What is, could you?
CETA is economic development funds, so it comes from local income taxes.
Thanks.
I just have a question. Do we know how many acres we're up to in the county in solar?
That I do not.
No, the total isn't learned yet. Recorder's office has that information
I believe they told me 15,000.
between the two approved projects.
I'm not sure if I included the Hoosier project or not.
Well, that's the third project, yeah.
And that's
We
our
don't know
county.
how much is in there yet, but. At least, yeah.
And then also, wasn't it, didn't I read, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when this thing got started, I read an article that they were only going to cover 20% of the acreage that they had contracted would be covered by panels.
I don't know. I haven't seen.
It's the panels themselves will only cover.
Have you drove around in my area? There's a lot more than 20%.
Yeah.
I don't care, but it's what they said.
Mhm.
That's
Well,
what
that
matters.
started out a small project and it just blew up. So
Well, I understand, but it also, that was back when it was already approved and going, and they had said, I read an article, and they said that only 20% of the acres would be under panel.
Larry.
Typically, it's correct, the number that was given, if that 15,000 is right, that's way more than what would be in panels. In each of those projects, it was gonna be around 1.5% of the farmable acres in the county. So you're gonna end up with maybe 5% of the total farmable acres in the county with these three projects. There's a lot of them, and particularly in that one, where they're all concentrated in one spot. But when you think about the whole county, all the acres that are farmable, that's what's in farm ground and what's in CRP. It will be, these three projects right now would be over 5% of the total farmable acres.
And just one more thing I'd like to add is, year and a half ago or whenever I was here and questioning you guys about what was going on. Lisa, when I questioned what the acres was, Lisa, at that time, you guys were about 4,500 acres between three projects. And I told you were a lot more than that, and then she checked into it. And I had said that, you know, I just made a statement that you're gonna end up losing a township worth of acres before this thing is over with, and then I had heard that, you know, between the whole project wide, they were looking at 50,000 acres eventually. She called me back a couple days later and said that she talked to, I don't know if it was Nextera or Mammoth, a representative of one of them, and said that they couldn't even sell that much electric. Well, we're at 15,000. Alaska County's at 24,000. If the lawsuits ever get solved, so that's 40,000. And I was told when I mentioned those kinds of acres, couldn't even sell that. No way.
Yeah, I don't know when it was, but who told me, but they were maxed out on what they could dump into the, you know, lines, but I guess they can always upgrade that. I don't know.
Yeah, bigger line over there.
I think just in the southern part of the county, there's about 2,400 acres right down there between
Oh, yeah,
on the Mammoth project right now.
right.
And they were talking of adding some to it.
Really, there's not a lot we can do about it.
I understand, but I'm just,
Right.
so you guys know, I know last fall there's about 2,400 acres under
Right.
panel down there.
And I've seen other counties pretty much say how many acres can go into that. Is there anything about that you would know?
About what other counties have done?
Yeah.
Just discussion points. I would say it's probably possible, you know, you can restrict it. Your guys' is a little bit different than how they've done it in Pulaski County, because you guys started as a permitted exception. And I think their lawsuits were pegged to the fact that it was originally either a special exception or variance approval. So I think the lawsuits are pegged to procedural due process. Again, when you approve something, the counterpoint is, you know, you approved it erroneously because there had to be a hearing. Yours, since it started as a permitted exception, is as long as you comply with our setbacks and other restrictions, then it's permitted once you apply for the permit and get it. So that kind of is the added wrinkle, which is why when you say that, you know, there's not a lot we can do about it from the perspective of it being a permitted exception. That was true. That is true. It's still true. I would think that it's possible. I've not looked into it from a legal standpoint. It's just what you hear other, because it's a divisive topic.
Right.
You know, it's probably possible to cap the number of acres, even under your current structure, if it's a permitted exception. I don't know what that would look like, if it's ever something that, because keep in mind that this probably has to start with the planning commission. Or it starts with you guys and the planning commission considers it. I mean, if it's something that you ever want to look into, I can do the research. Probably possible. I don't want to give you that information since I've not seriously looked into it.
I've just, online, I've seen where other counties have kind of adopted that, where they say, hey, we're gonna cap it at 6,000 acres or something.
And that would be, it would be, if it's permissible, which again, I'm assuming it is permissible to do that, it would start with your planning commission because it's an adjustment that you're making to your the zoning code, the planning code, your comprehensive plan. So, you know, it's
I
something
think
that
it's
was
something you can look into when you get a chance. I know
certainly,
I just won't, but
You know,
or ask the planning commission to look into.
if you guys want me to do the research so I can supply you with accurate information, I can do that.
yeah,
I
if you'd
think
like to
so.
check, yeah.
Charlie, one more thing, and I said this the last time I was here too, a long time ago. But I really do believe, I believed it then and I still do now. Anytime a farm, any acreage is leased. And I think there's a lot of acreage out there that is leased into these companies that is maybe 4 or 5 zones away. If it ever gets there, that's what they're told, if it ever gets there, but it's still leased. It's still leased. So you have a lot of land in this county that is basically controlled by companies. That if they want to come in, they have a lease on it. I don't know how they're worded. I don't know what they say. I just hear all this stuff. And I said at that time, anytime that this land is leased, it ought to come to some government entity and say, this is leased, because they're still going around to this day saying, you better get in this, your neighbor's in it. You better get in this, your neighbor's in it. And then you go to the neighbors and they say, we're not in it. You know, so this is going on. It's been going on from the start. And if to my thinking, they ought to have 48 hours to come to the county and say, we've just leased this particular farm. It's 5 years away from construction if it ever gets there, but we've leased it. So that we've got it if we get to it. And that way somebody can come right up here and say, are my neighbors in this? Because they tell me they are, you know. And I thought that should have been done from the beginning, and it still should be.
It's something to keep in mind. Not this gentleman. You have to kind of be careful when you start putting requirements with private contracts and the government starts to get involved in that. It becomes a constitutional concern. Again, I'm not saying you can't do that if you adjust your zoning or your comprehensive plan, but when government starts, and I use the word interfering with contracts, basically saying when they start to say we have an interest in a private contract, it starts to potentially look like it may run afoul of constitutional protections that people have. Not saying that couldn't happen if it's in your code, but if something's a permitted, except that the struggle here, and I'm not advocating for or against solar, whatever you guys want. Got a unit in Pulaski County, does not like solar, so when I'm sitting in their meeting, I'm anti-solar. But when you've got something that's permitted exception with no other restrictions beyond just its permitted exception subject to setbacks, but then you put, whether it's by ordinance or resolution, you're saying, but you have to approach us before you enter into this contract, that's government. That right there would be a constitutional violation by county government, because you're inserting yourself in a private contract without something built into your comprehensive plan that says you have to do this. So it's a good point, but I'm just saying I have to tell you what the countervailing view is without something more. You can't say, that's just like somebody saying, well, I've got a contract with Sirius Solutions to say, when you bring that before the county, when we're going into that contract for grain hauling, it's the same kind of thing. So maybe possible if you put restrictions in your comprehensive plan, your zoning code to do that. And I'll do that research for you.
Okay. Does anyone else have any business for us?